take her life for nothing. It's hurting me. It's hurting my dad. It's hurting her mom.
Talk your great. Talk your Shut up. Be great.
Free who, man? Big ball out.
And I'm gonna free my dude.
On the night of November 11, 2021, Memphis police were dispatched to what sounded like a simple welfare check on Print Avenue. Nothing urgent, nothing unusual. But when officers approached a white Jeep Cherokee parked quietly in a driveway, the entire tone of the night shifted. Inside, slumped over the steering wheel, was 30-year-old Jeremy Caples, lifeless, alone, and just minutes away from the safety of her home. A single shot to the head. No defensive wounds. No signs of a struggle. No trace of a fight. It was as if someone had walked up to her with purpose and ended her life before she ever had a chance to react. Adding to the unease was a detail that would become impossible to ignore. Just days earlier, her husband, Ronaldo DBO Grape Wright, had been released from prison. What should have been a hopeful reunion, two people finally getting a chance to rebuild what time had taken, was suddenly overshadowed by a violent reality no one saw coming. The fresh start everyone expected never arrived. Instead, something darker slipped into their lives, something no one was prepared to confront. Investigators quickly noticed how strange the scene was. No forced entry. No robbery. No chaos. Whoever killed her knew exactly what they were doing, and exactly how to leave without being seen. But as detectives began piecing together her final hours, the story took an unsettling turn. Hidden tensions. Quiet secrets. A timeline that didn't add up. And slowly, a chilling possibility emerged. One that forced investigators and Jeremy's loved ones to question everything they thought they knew. What really happened to Jeremy Caples? And who was close enough to get in her car, without leaving a single sign they were ever there? Jeremy Caples was born on December 13, 1995. She was only 26 at the time of her death, yet she carried herself with the strength and responsibility of someone much older. She had a bright smile, a naturally caring personality, and a laugh people remembered. Her family described her as someone who loved children deeply, a woman who instinctively put others first. Though she didn't have biological children, Jeremy proudly stepped into the role of mother for her two nephews. She raised them as if they were her own, never hesitating to provide structure, guidance, and the emotional security children need. To anyone watching, you would never know they weren't her biological sons. She loved them with everything she had. Those closest to her say she had a nurturing spirit that came naturally, a gift that made her a safe place for her family. Her social media showed a young woman full of ambition and determination. A graduate of Hamilton High School and a student at the University of Memphis, she was striving to build a better life for herself and the people she cared about. Friends remembered her as someone who worked tirelessly to create stability, balancing multiple responsibilities with grace and without complaint. She wasn't wealthy, but she was resourceful, always making sure her home was warm, welcoming, and filled with love. Yet beneath the surface, her online posts revealed a more vulnerable side, raw, honest reflections about love, heartbreak, patience, and the difficult realities of relationships. One of those posts would later become haunting, a heartfelt birthday message to the man she loved, written months before her death. That man was 28-year-old Ronaldo Wright, known on the streets as DBO Grape or simply Grape. He had a long criminal history that followed him everywhere and made it difficult to stay on the right path. He spent 4 years in prison, but through it all, Jeremy stayed committed to him. She never stopped loving him. She kept the relationship alive through letters, phone calls, and long visits. And when Ronaldo finally walked out of prison in 2021, Jeremy was there waiting with open arms, overjoyed to finally have him back.
Damn. Damn.
What?
That's grape near my feet.
Oh.
It gotta be. Y'all go live.
I am.
That's them.
It sure lives. It's her.
Ah, get out my way. Where Great Flag? Where Great Flag at, bro? All right. Big Great. Yeah. Big Great. Yeah. Big Great. Big Grape home. Ain't no more free grape. Big Grape free. Yeah. We put this on for you, Big Grape.
Free who,
Talk
man?
your Big Grape. Talk your.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Big Grape.
Free who, man?
Yeah.
Big ball
do, fuck.
Despite the challenges and the uncertainty, she remained loyal. She didn't hide their relationship and she wasn't afraid of judgment. Her social media made it clear. No matter what anyone said, she loved him and she believed they could rebuild a life together. In one emotional post, she described the months after his release as the best 4 months of her life. To her, this wasn't simply about waiting for a man, it was about believing in redemption, in love, and in starting over. But here's where everything took a devastating turn. Just days after Grape came home, Jeremy was found shot in the head, her body slumped inside her Jeep in the Nutbush neighborhood. The question now is, what happened between their reunion and her murder? Was her death connected to Ronaldo's release? Or was something else happening behind the scenes? If you're finding these stories meaningful or informative, please consider subscribing to our channel. It really helps us keep bringing you more content like this. November 11, 2021, started like any other day for the Caples family. Jeremy, always the devoted aunt, started her morning the way she always did, getting her nephews ready for school. She made sure their clothes were neat, their backpacks packed, and their shoes tied. It was a routine she never complained about, a small, quiet part of her morning that grounded her before the day really began. Before stepping out, she called her sister Candace just like every morning. They talked about simple things, plans for the day, small errands, and the usual sisterly updates. But that ordinary conversation would unknowingly become their last. During the call, Jeremy mentioned she wanted to buy herself a new pair of shoes. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive, just something to keep herself looking put together. It was casual, forgettable, the kind of thing that usually wouldn't stick in anyone's memory. Yet it would later become a haunting detail. As the day went on, Candace tried calling her sister several times, but every call rang out with no answer. At first, she chalked it up to bad timing. Maybe Jeremy's phone had died. Maybe she got busy. Maybe she was running errands. But as the afternoon came and went with still no word, a knot tightened in Candace's stomach. This wasn't like her sister. Not responding for hours, especially when the kids needed her, was completely out of character. By evening, worry had turned into full-blown fear. Something felt wrong, so wrong that Candace didn't hesitate. She grabbed her keys, rushed into her car, and drove the 15 minutes to Jeremy's house. But the moment she turned onto the familiar street, her heart dropped. Flashing police lights, crime scene tape, and a gathering crowd told her everything she needed to know before anyone spoke. Her worst fears were confirmed when an officer approached her with the news no sister should ever hear. Around 6 p.m., Memphis police had responded to a shooting on Print Avenue. When they arrived, they found 25-year-old Jeremy Caples slumped over the steering wheel of her white Jeep Cherokee with a gunshot wound to her head. Paramedics arrived quickly, but it was already too late. Jeremy was gone. The murder was brutal. She was shot at extremely close range, close enough that the killer had been right beside her. But as disturbing as the crime scene was, the case was about to take several strange turns. Investigators immediately got to work, and that's when things started getting bizarre. A doorbell camera from a nearby home captured someone casually walking away from Jeremy's car soon after the shooting. Not running. Not panicking. Just strolling off like they had absolutely nothing to fear. Their face was obscured, but the footage revealed their build, their clothing, even the way they walked. This wasn't a random shooter. This was someone comfortable in the neighborhood. Someone who felt safe enough to leave without looking back. And things only got stranger from there. With Memphis crime numbers already rising, police needed more than blurry footage. They needed answers. That's when digital forensics came into play. Investigators examined Jeremy's phone. Her calls, texts, social media activity, everything from the days leading up to her death. Surprisingly, there were no threats, no arguments, and nothing obvious to indicate she was in danger. But there was one haunting Facebook post from earlier that year, a post filled with emotion, loyalty, and heartbreak. Was she hinting at something deeper? Was she trying to say more than what the words showed? This brings us to the part that complicates everything. Her relationship with Ronaldo DBO Grape, right? Could the key to solving her murder be hidden in their history? Was there a deeper, darker motive connecting the dots that police weren't seeing yet? Ronaldo knew the justice system well. His record went back years, even if the exact details are hard to track publicly. Courtrooms, probation, jail time, none of it was new to him. But despite all this, Jeremy stayed loyal. Through his 4 years behind bars, she stayed by his side. She didn't just visit him, she celebrated him. She posted about him proudly. She waited for him with hope, believing in second chances and rebuilding a life together. When he walked out of prison in 2021, she was right there waiting, ready to start fresh. But here's the part that still haunts everyone. Just days after he came home, Jeremy was dead, shot in the head inside her own car. So what about the timing? Was it just a tragic coincidence? Or was something happening behind the scenes that no one knew about? As investigators dug deeper, even more twists emerged. After discovering her body, police canvassed the Nutbush neighborhood, going door to door, hoping someone had seen or heard something. But in a city battling rising violence, getting people to speak up wasn't easy. Fear, silence, and distrust made the search for answers even harder. Still, one thing was clear: this was not a random crime. And the deeper investigators looked, the more complicated and chilling the case became. Despite the fact that Jeremy was deeply loved and respected in her neighborhood, not a single person came forward with anything useful. No one claimed to have heard the gunshot. No one admitted to seeing the kill. And most frustrating of all, no one seemed to know anything about who might be responsible. This is the part that baffled both the family and investigators. How does someone carry out such a cold, calculated killing and then walk away so casually, especially in a neighborhood as busy and tightly packed as Nutbush? The silence from the community left detectives with far more questions than answers. How do you solve a murder when no one is willing to speak? Jeremy Caples was laid to rest at Raleigh Fraser Memorial Cemetery in Memphis, Tennessee, a quiet place that now holds the weight of a family's deepest heartbreak. But for her loved ones, burial didn't bring closure. If anything, it made the silence that followed even heavier.
Please speak up for my sister, y'all. Please.
Found in the back of the vehicle, slumped over on the driver's side. She had been punched in the head. The murder was picked up by a door cam, leaving the vehicle, so which kind of led me to believe that the person might stay somewhere in the area.
Loving, kind, sweet, don't bother nobody. And for them to take her life for nothing, it's hurting me, it's hurting my dad, it's hurting her mom.
It was a senseless act of that's all it was. And I hate that.
For Jeremy's family, that silence was the cruelest part of all. No one felt the loss more deeply than her father, Jerry Caples. Day after day, he walked the streets of Nutbush with a purpose that came from pure grief. He searched faces, watched movements, and paid attention to every bit of street conversation, hoping someone somewhere might reveal a crack in the truth. He listened for slips, for whispers, for anything that could point toward the person who took his daughter's life. But each day ended the same way, with more silence, more frustration, and more unanswered questions. Even so, Jerry's resolve never wavered. Not once. He attended every community meeting he could. He spoke to local media whenever they'd listen. He swallowed his pride and publicly begged for information, no matter how small, just something to help explain why his daughter was taken. But still, the case stalled. Investigators told him the truth he dreaded hearing: the case had gone cold. The possible suspect wore a mask, and the doorbell camera that captured them was so blurry it did more to raise questions than provide answers. But there was one detail Jerry refused to let fade into the background: the killer's backpack. A brown MCM designer bag. It wasn't ordinary. It wasn't subtle. It was the kind of accessory people notice, especially in a neighborhood where everyone knows each other's style. Jerry is sure someone recognizes it. Someone has seen that bag before. And he believes that the person who owns, or once owned, it is connected to his daughter's death. That single detail has become his driving force, the thread he pulls at every day, hoping it finally unravels the truth. Jeremy's sisters have carried their own share of the pain. Candace Parker remembers her as gentle and harmless, a woman who lived quietly and didn't trouble anyone. She was loving, kind, sweet, didn't bother nobody, Candace said. For them to take her life for nothing, it's hurting me. It's hurting my dad. It's hurting her mom. Her other sister, Lameshia Sims, didn't hold back either. She called it exactly what it was: a senseless act of violence. And that's what tears at the family the most: how random, how unnecessary, how unimaginably cruel it all was. This single act of violence didn't just take Jeremy. It shattered everyone who loved her. I'm not gonna rest. I'm not gonna sleep. I'm not gonna stop screaming justice for Jeremy, Candace vowed, a promise fueled by grief, anger, and love. And despite the silence, despite the blurry footage, despite the cold case label, Jerry Caples remains certain of one thing: someone saw something. Someone knows the truth. And until that person speaks up, he will keep walking those same streets, searching for the answer he has refused to stop fighting for. For Jerry, that blurred surveillance clip isn't just another piece of evidence. It's a constant reminder that his daughter's killer is still out there, living freely, unpunished. And even as the years continue to pass, the family's determination remains unshaken. They still hold on to hope. They lean on faith. They cling to the belief that somewhere, someone recognizes that bag, or the person who carried it. But hope alone can only carry you so far.
He took my little sister for nothing, man. She ain't do nothing to nobody. Told me she was going to school, and when she left school, she was going to meet somebody to get some shoes. I guess she never made it that far.
3 long years after Jeremy's death, her family still had no answers. They had seen the surveillance footage. They had reviewed the phone records. They had analyzed every clue the police shared with them. Yet they were no closer to knowing who killed her or why. Every new day brought back the same gut-wrenching grief, the same unanswered questions, the same fear that justice might never come. Birthdays passed without celebration. Holidays came with an empty chair. Anniversaries were marked not by pride but by pain. The silence surrounding her case grew heavier and more suffocating with time. In an attempt to turn heartbreak into action, Jeremy's family organized a public remembrance event, not just to mourn her but to demand answers. This wasn't a quiet memorial. It was a call for accountability. It was held near the exact spot where her life was taken, a place her family can never forget. Community members gathered, local activists showed up, and people who loved her shared memories through tears. Candles were lit. Balloons were released. And repeated in every speech was the same heartbreaking message: someone knows something. They hoped the event would encourage a witness to come forward. They hoped it would shake loose the truth. But even with the increased reward money and renewed public attention, no arrests have ever been made. And so, the Caples family waits. Her father continues to wander the same streets she once drove through. Her sister struggles with grief that hasn't eased at all. And the children she helped raise are growing up without the love and protection she worked so hard to give them. The grainy image of a masked figure walking away from her car continues to haunt the people who adored her. For them, time hasn't dulled the pain. The wound remains as open as it was on the day she died, because justice has not arrived. Jeremy Caples was not just a statistic or a headline. She was a daughter, a sister, a mother figure, and a bright, dependable presence in her community. She deserved protection. She deserved truth. She deserved a future she never got to see. The only hope left is that someone, somewhere, will finally break their silence, that courage will outweigh fear, and that the truth will finally emerge. Because justice for Jeremy is long overdue. What do you think about this case? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe for more cases just like this one.